And welcome back to Between Two Coaches. We're on a mission to make fitness even more human than last season or the season before that. The snark is not being sold separately this season. It's being cooked into the price. I'm Coach Amanda, and I'm joined as always by my co-host.
It's Coach Nick. We are so back. It's still technically season 2, but Amanda can call it whatever she wants.
What do you mean?
Seasons of life.
Who defines right? So my question for you is, why is it not season 3?
I don't know. I just liked, well, it could be, I guess.
Oh, are you saying you make the rules? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But it could
Okay,
also be
well,
season 3. We will determine that when you listen. You'll find out. But anyway, thanks for joining us. We have a great episode today. It's the two of us, and we're diving into something we see all the time with athletes, especially when they're in the groove. We're calling it the too fit to rest mentality.
yes. And I think that we've been seeing this topic more and more by ways of the social meds.
Oh yeah.
It's really quite prevalent there and in our work. But before we get into that, before we get into it, let's talk just a little bit. Just give me the brief but spectacular. What have you been doing for the last 4 to 6 weeks away from me? I don't even know how long we've been away from each
It's
other.
been a while. I've been doing things you would do with kids. We've been to water parks, water resorts. We've been to family gatherings in New Jersey. We were in the same state for a couple days. Saw my whole extended family. I ran in my hometown, got sick. My daughter got sick. My other daughter got sick. My wife got sick.
Okay.
So
It's
all the
too many people.
lots of stomach bugs. I did not get that, at least. So that was fun. Did some running, and then I'm here. I'm back, and I'm ready. What about you, Amanda? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I am, to bring us to present day, I'm looking forward to not making any plans from now until November, maybe.
Children marathon.
I really don't want to have any more social interactions. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of peopling. And summer is a time of year where I actually really prefer to slow down. I like being in the city during the summer because everyone leaves. That's the favorite part of the
They all go to
whole.
the Hamptons, right?
They go east, wherever they go.
Yeah.
They can stay there. They can stay there. They can extend their summer stay. I'm happy about it. So that's kind of where we're at now. And I think about I saw it written a few weeks ago, and I couldn't agree with it more. The question appeared. It was, I think I was reading a newsletter or somebody's blog about how, and the question was like, oh, how many days a week do you work? Like, it was an interactive Q&A on the Substack. And there were people who said 7 days, 6 days, 5 days. And as some of you may know, I work Tuesday through Friday. So I work 4 days a week. And the way for all those who responded to this Substack and said 4 days a week, they really described how I've kind of separated those 3 days very well. One day is a life admin day. So, like, if let's say for me, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is when I have off. So, one of those days is a life admin day. And that's the day where I'm doing laundry, I'm doing grocery shopping. Like, for me personally, I don't like to do that all necessarily in one day, all the life admin things, but it actually does end up
Yeah.
happening. So, Sundays are my life admin day. Then one day is for quote unquote being social. They don't take into account if you're an introvert, a homebody, or a me, right? But I'll call Saturdays that day for me because that's when I tend to get a long run in with my girlfriend or I'll see other humans out in the wild. And then the final day, so you have your social day, your life admin day, and then your actual like rest
Yeah.
from existence and other people. And that for me tends to be Monday-ish. And so I am going to be leaning the hell into my 3 days of me time, with the exception of like I'll have an asterisk with the socializing. So
Well,
if if you guys can had any takeaways from this episode, you should build in your whatever those days look like for you, but try to get all of that in and spread it out so we are not overwhelmed as we enter our work weeks.
no, it's great advice. I learned from this two things. One, that your social media team works real hard those other 3 days because you were grinding out content. And two,
My social media team.
yeah, you guys, you're putting out so much content in those other 3 days. And also, I know now I should text you all day Saturday because that's your social day. So I will spend most of Saturday sending you text messages now that I know that that's the day you want to socialize. So
I'm going to remind you and maybe the listeners here, because I don't think I've spoke about it since season 1, but all the content that you see is not only is it not real, right? Like I'm not sharing any of that in real time. You see a photo of me running? No, you didn't. You think you did? You didn't. I also am I batch create. Okay? I batch create. And the girlies think I'm putting out new stuff, but I'm really just saying the same thing over and over again with a different outfit on.
yeah,
Okay?
gotta change the
That
outfit.
I no I don't. No I don't. Not till it smells. No I don't. So I appreciate you. I think you were giving me a kind of compliment that
It was.
I can create at this level. I enjoy writing, which I've also done more of in this season of social media and content creation. So we do what we enjoy, right? That's what we do.
We love it. Yes, that was great. We love your new content. You gave away all your spoilers, so now everyone knows that you have not. It's not real life at the moment that you posted. So now I learned that too. I just thought you were always just out there in front of your apartment, just making another
Uh,
video. Yeah.
no, most of the time I'm on the couch. Most of the time I'm on the couch.
Anyway, it was great catching up on your life, Amanda. Thanks for all those details.
You're so welcome. You see how I didn't really, no one knows at all what I did this summer.
Not a single thing was said.
You learned nothing. That's a part of the appeal.
Yep.
Do you have any grievances? Have you like is
Oh, I do. It's not really big. It's not. There's a lot, right? But I think it sounds like people are attacking other creators, which is what we're seeing. People are buying followers. All the usual things are happening.
I noticed that recently. Yeah,
But
right.
but my grievance is away from
Oh,
that, and it's more on the news from Grand Slam track, which is ruining everything. I'm a big track boy, dude. Track guy. That's it. That's the one. I like track and field. I like watching it. I thought Grand Slam track was a super cool concept. For those of you who don't know, you probably do. There was going to be 4 meets, a bunch of superstars. They run real fast, lots and lots of prize money, which was supposed to be the appealing thing because track and field doesn't do a great job of awarding winners because
right.
it's track and field. And then they did 3 meets, and then they canceled the 4th meet, and then it came out that athletes weren't getting paid, and they kept setting up deadlines, and none of them got hit. And then they had another one that was the end of July, and that one got missed. A lot of the athletes at the U.S. Championship started talking out negatively about Grand Slam track and how they'll never do it again if they don't get paid, and legal actions. And so then last week, Michael Johnson came out and talked about the struggles of getting funding, and it sounds like they had funding lined up, but it wasn't like officially in his pocket. It was more of like, yeah, we'll give you some money. And he's like, cool, I'm going to go work off that. And so a lot of words, but a lot of talk of how, oh, well, we're going to get the money for the athletes. And then we had all these new investors who are interested, and we're going to turn this around for 2026. And all I can think is, you've literally killed this thing. Like, sure, sometimes things come back from the abyss, but like, what investor, what athlete's going to have any trust in this entire thing when year 1 in, you cancel your last meet, you can't pay your athletes? So I don't know. It's a grievance to me because it's just sad that like, and people left their jobs to go join Grand Slam track, right? Like, it's not just the athletes. There's people who
It's
quit
crazy.
and came to join this organization. It's literally going to die. I mean, you can't. I don't know. I mean, things have come back from worse. probably, but this sounds pretty bad. And they don't really have a plan to pay the athletes other than just, we're working on it.
It's not good. So did you say this? Who's in charge?
Michael Johnson, he's a former 204-meter sprinter from the U.S. back in like the early 90s.
So he doesn't have any experience. He's just a runner.
He is, but he wanted to. He's had a lot of good thoughts about running over the years.
So
but
that's where I'm going to stop you.
yeah,
We have a lot of thought people who have a platform that really have no business putting on events without smart people around them. So who's going on? Who's around Michael?
well, I don't know.
Okay.
He had some good
Michael, if you're
investors
listening.
that sounded like they were going to. It just sounded like, I don't know. He obviously isn't sharing all the details, but what he's sharing sounds a lot like they didn't own up and others are interested now, and etc. It just sounds really bad. And there's about $13 million owed in prize money, which is a lot of money.
Yeah. I'm curious where all those investor dollars went.
I don't know. I don't think they got him, is what it sounds like, but I don't really know. Anyway, stinks. Love track and field. I thought it was a fun concept. It is dead, as far as I think. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, maybe it comes back,
Wow,
but it
it's
sounds
painful.
dead.
Yeah, it does sound it's a bad place. It does not sound good. Okay, well that's a grievance if I've ever heard one.
Did you have a grievance?
I'm thinking about so most recently this past weekend, the Biggest Loser documentary came out
Yeah.
on Netflix, and it is in case you're new here, my entire career has been spent dismantling the messaging that show, I'm not even going to say represents, that show just blatantly spewed. The fat phobic messaging, hateful, healthism esque, just like a pure breeding ground for eating disorders. You know, the lead trainers of that show were Jillian Michaels and Bob Harper. And while Jillian Michaels tends to be getting like most of the heat, Bob Harper is a piece of shit too. So everything that show represents is horrifying. So I really didn't want to watch the 3-episode docuseries, but you know, I here I am still watching it. So I think like a few more minutes of the last one, and it isn't telling me anything I didn't already know about the show. It's just kind of highlighting how many levels of they just did not they didn't care at all about the impact of that show.
No.
Even if, you know, we understand as consumers of reality television that there is not only an entertainment value at play, but it's not all real, right? But when you're dealing with somebody's health and wellness, it is real. You know, rhabdo is real.
Yeah, I had it.
Yep. Berating somebody for living in a fat body is real. You know, being on these super restrictive, low calorie diets is real. Working out for 6 hours a day, like these are real things. It's not like the Real Housewives of New York where they're pinning two housewives against each other in a fake feud
and they're all rich anyway, and who cares? And they're like, my
right,
latte
they're
was spilled.
actors.
Yeah.
They're basically just actors. You can't act your way through this kind of show. And it didn't just have one season. It had
Too many.
more than eight,
Yeah.
more than eight. I'm not sure. And then they had a doctor on there, like also allowing things, but pretending like, well, I didn't know all of the what was it? Put him in the trash too.
Yeah, throw them all in.
Throw him in. So my grievance is it's not a new grievance. It's with diet culture and toxic fitness culture and toxic running culture, because of course they would punish them by ways of running. You got to run. Discipline, but it's, you know, or disorders, but it's masked as discipline. That it's just it's the hill that I will die on. That's my grievance.
Yeah, it's terrible. That's that bullshit. And
Sure is.
And people, this is your first ever double grievance show. So look at that for the people. So
The people, for the people.
what we do for you guys,
It's not much, but
something.
it's something.
Well, yeah, those grievances are worth talking about. Shall we move on to the topic du jour?
Yes. And I, much like reading the language of Hebrew, I went backwards. So
Oh,
I went to I skipped the section in our outline, our lovely outline.
yeah.
So let's bring it back for a second. So we were talking about the too fit to rest mentality, that feeling where training is clicking, you're hitting your workouts, and suddenly the idea of taking a rest day or maybe a deload week starts to feel like it's a threat to your fitness.
Yeah, and you're not lazy, you're not broken, but you might be afraid of losing what you've built.
So today we're going to ask what happens when your fitness becomes a trap? Why do runners, especially, but really anyone who's a fitness enthusiast, spends time in the gym? Why do they struggle with rest, and how can we reframe that?
Yeah, so let's break down the myth, the rest that sets you back, because truthfully, it's the thing that moves you forward, right? And so I think that's going to be the theme of this episode. But when we're talking about this, what's this too fit to rest mentality? What are you thinking, Amanda, for the crowd? Let's level out. Let's lay the groundwork so everyone knows what we're talking about.
What it means?
Yes.
So I think it's this fear of resting due to trending upwards, or as we say here, the current momentum. You're meeting the marks, you're feeling good, or maybe you're not feeling good but you're meeting the marks. And I see this a lot with my athletes, especially those who are checking off the boxes, but I'm not getting a lot of, like, it feels very, the responses are still tired. So like when I'm talking to my athletes, when I check in with them, which will tomorrow or Thursday, I tend to check in with my athletes. If I notice that there's a week of training and, all the workouts are completed, but maybe they're not really writing a lot of comments, or some things are rushed, right? Like the easy runs are actually looking a little too moderate, or, or it could be the opposite, right? It's like, they're checking all the boxes, but it's like this, they're like, oh, I had to skip Monday because of a meeting and I didn't get enough sleep, so I'm going to get in my lift and my run on Tuesday, and then I'm going to do my long run the next day, and then I'm going to do my speed. I had to move everything. No, like we can actually, like, let's pause
Yeah.
and assess.
Yeah. Yeah, or stacking, like miss all your runs for the week and then Sunday do 6 runs and 4 lifts and your long run. No, I agree. And so for me, the too fit to rest mentality is I think the same thing, right? Like, it's we get to this point where we're starting to gain fitness and things are going well, and then it's too scary for a down week. I do down weeks every 4th week with my athletes, and sometimes we're turning into negotiations of, oh, well, I'm feeling really good. I really don't want to have a down week and ruin everything. It's like, hold up. No, like, and I build in a down week every 4th week purposely, because that means for those 3 weeks leading up to it, we work a little harder. As long as things are going well, we work a little harder because we know we have a down week. And so we can do a little more in that block. And then all of a sudden, if we're like, oh, well, let's not do the down week, I'm like, well, no, then we're programming you to disaster mode, right? And so, um, I also notice with athletes when they start adding in extra miles here, or there, like maybe one run, it's like, oh, I was supposed to do 9, but I did 10. I'm like, okay. And then also I look at the end of the week, and the week was supposed to have 50 miles and it was 62. And I'm like, where'd you get those 12 miles? Oh, well, I did this little warm up here. And then I met my friend here. And,
Right,
and I'm like, oh,
right.
well, okay. And then you did it for 5 weeks in a row. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Like, why are we adding all this in? Oh, well, I just want to keep capitalizing on my fitness. And I'm like, no, like we can add mileage. I don't mind that, but like, let's do it as a team. Let's not just roguely go in here and add a lot, and let's not do it for the purpose of worrying about capitalizing your gains, right? And so I see it
Right.
when things are going well, when athletes have big goals, all of a sudden they're adding a lot. And it's not always communicated. Like, it's one thing if they communicate to the coach and they're like, hey, can we do a little more of this block? I'm ready for it. Like, we've had a couple successful blocks. Can we, add a little more intensity, maybe an extra workout day, or maybe longer long runs? And I'm like, okay, like, I'll assess that with you. We have been building, like, we'll build in a little more rest, but we can do that together, versus like just kind of being too worried about this rest period or these down weeks, or even after a good race, worrying to stop after a good race and not wanting to
Right.
kill the momentum. So yeah, that's what I think of when I think of this too fit to rest mentality, and it's literally everywhere. And so, why do you think, Amanda, that rest feels mentally risky for athletes?
Well, because a couple of reasons. I think that people believe that they can lose their fitness gains a lot faster than they actually can. Like, for some reason, science doesn't apply to them. When it comes to the other thing that I always talk about on my page is the comparison. When I'm saying my page on social media, is the comparison trap. And I joke about like delete your Strava, but there are truly consequences for all of us scrolling on our small screen to see what everyone else is doing. Even if you like the person, if you don't like the person, you're checking to see what they're up to. I think that if you know that about yourself, that you are somebody who could, when it comes to the comparison trap, we could talk a little bit more about how no, you do not lose fitness overnight. But if you know that putting yourself in those positions is going to be harmful, and it's harmful if you're comparing yourself on Strava, on social media, if you can't take a step back, if you can't say, like, if I can't see Nick, running a marathon and me being like, I'm so proud of Nick. I'm so proud of, if you can't get yourself to do that, you need to be a whole ass adult and remove yourself from the game.
Yep. Yeah. No, you're right. And it's not just comparison traps. So, before social media existed, comparison traps existed because people would compare to their friends or their teammates, right? And I think I hear a lot of times when people in the same running group, maybe under like one of those coach programs where they'll like compare to others in that group, and
Mm,
they'll others might not have kids or might have a different life situation, but they're doing more mileage or they're running faster, and all of a sudden
mm,
that like this idea of like, oh, I can't rest because I'm falling behind everyone else, or I can't do less than everyone else, or have an extra rest day because this group is, I'm going to fall behind the group, right? And and top of that, we talked about this fear of losing fitness, right? And I think sometimes it's explained to athletes, so a little bit of science behind it all, right, sort of helps. Like I think a lot of people really feel like when they run a goal race, whether they hit it or miss it, and it's usually when they miss it, but even when they hit it, both kind of exacerbate the problem, is where they don't want to stop, right? They don't want to rest. A week off after a marathon is crazy. 2 weeks off
mm-hmm.
is nuts. Like 3 days, maybe 2 days, let's get back because I don't want too much of this fitness disappear. And when you kind of explain to them, like, that's not the point, right? The point is that you went and you did a big deposit from the bank, and all we're trying to do for our next training block is to start at a higher point than we started the previous training block, not to literally contain our fitness from the last training block to the exact level it was and hold that on forever, because we
Right.
can't. We can't train that way. Our bodies can't support that kind of training. So when you can kind of like help people understand that losing fitness, it is an illusion and it's not real. Like, you were not losing the fitness. The goal of the training block was to work hard, to train for a race, to put it out there, and we can't guarantee what happens. And then to
Right.
start the next training block with a higher ceiling than or a higher floor than we had for the next time, so we can have a higher ceiling, right? If we're always raising the floor, eventually what was the hardest thing in the world for us eventually becomes just our normal Tuesday, or a bad race. And a good race becomes something so much higher. And so rest helps us get here. If we don't have rest after a race, you will not be able to continue that way forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's beyond like the physical. Like, genuinely take a step back and think about it. Anything that you rely on that much is not healthy, with the exception of you need food, you need sleep, you need a safe place to lay your head at night, and some sort of human connection, right?
Yeah.
Like, those are the things that you need. If you are reaching a point in your fitness journey where that modality becomes a need and it makes you twitch to even think about you not having it for a period of time,
Mhm.
that's when you really need to employ somebody to support you between the ears, because it's no longer about running. It's no longer about exercise. it's about something much deeper than that.
Yeah, and I think you're kind of like leaning out some of the signs that you're falling for this trap, right? And so we talk about running through injuries, right? And I think a lot of we had Carrie and Cindy on talking the Injured Athlete podcast, right? I think I got the name right, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, and there's lots of support there we can get from people in that area when injuries happen, because when we're running through injuries, a lot of the time it is fear that we will lose fitness, that we have to keep going, and that we're going to lose other things, right? And so when you're pushing that far, like there's ways to support you to not feel like rest is ruining everything. Like when you're losing the joy or curiosity in training, like I've been doing running since 1996, right? 20, oh my God, I'm almost up to 30 years. What happened in my life? And there's times I don't have joy in it, and it's not always, this is like a joy and curiosity, right? It doesn't mean like you'll always be joyful to every run. I don't love every single run. I don't love to go out there every single day. But when you're like being less curious about it, when training is becoming a drag, when it's constantly leaning that way, and like you're just doing it because you just are so worried about losing fitness, not about having fun, getting progress, seeing friends, that's when you're sort of hitting this mark of like, okay, well, this is a sign you're falling for this trap. I'm worried about rest. When you feel guilty just having a rest day, right? When you don't want to take your rest day, when you don't want to take your down week, unscheduled rest days throw you for a loop, right? Life happens and you can't get your run in, like we talked earlier. Oh, well, I'll just do it all tomorrow. Or, I had 6 today and 4 tomorrow, so why don't I just do 10 tomorrow? It's like, no, that's literally not the same thing at all. Don't do that, please. I beg of you. So all these are like examples, like if you feel you're feeling this way, like you might be feeling that you're so more worried about your fitness than you are about resting your body to support your long-term growth in this sport.
Mm-hmm. Preach it.
I just did.
So, I know
I'm
you
just
did.
kidding.
So how do we, as I think, as run coaches, as fitness trainers, how do we spot it, and how do we handle it? So first, talking about language, what kind of language do our athletes use with us when we see that it's about to cross the line? Because ideally we're not over the line yet, we're not in burnout mode, but it's getting there. For me, I notice a couple of things. I'm poking out I'm using a couple of examples of um, athletes I have that I've had to do we do some exercises with now moving forward, and when it comes to giving feedback on their workouts. So I will notice there that each session, for example, there's negativity in the comments. So let's say I'm using Final Surge, which is a platform that we use to communicate with our runners and set up their running plans. If every run that I see is like, this one was terrible, why am I getting slower? I didn't have the energy to go out today. I slept for 3 hours last night. I haven't taken I feel like my legs are dragging. There's a difference between being unmotivated to work out and doing it anyway, which there are times where absolutely that needs to be the case. It happens to me all the time. It happens to Nick all the time. But when the pattern becomes like it's starting to impact you in a way that you forgot why you started doing this, I think those are the red flags on my end. And that's when I kind of, depending on the athlete, we look at a couple of things. One, when I'm setting a client up to work with me, in that introductory call, I'm immediately asking, what day are we taking at least one rest day? And for some of the folks I work with, they're like, oh, rest day? Like they're asking the question back. Like they didn't hear or understand what I said. Like it didn't compute. I'm like, yeah, like the day that you're not taking a Pilates class, doing a long walk with your daughter, and oh, that's it.
They're like, oh,
That
you
day
mean a
doesn't
lifting
exist.
day? Yeah.
You're like, you mean upper body strength day? I was like, no, that's actually Didn't say that. What do you want me to do on that day? As little as possible. No, but in all sincerity, because I do get asked this, and I think it's an important question, especially for those of us who live like in a very black and white world. What do you mean a rest day, Amanda? Like, well, one, it's going to be put in the calendar for many of my athletes, like just like a workout, it's going to be put in the calendar. And no intentional exercise on that day. And if you find yourself looking at your watch like, oh, but my gosh, I have to get to no intentional step counts for that day, ma'am. None of that. And that's how you build trust with yourself to take time away from the thing you love so much.
Yeah, exactly. I have a check-in every week with my athletes, like a Sunday. I put a little note in there, and it kind of has them like stress levels, rest, recovery, how they think training's going. They give it sort of a score. I've found that be really helpful because sometimes I can spot things and trends, right? Because some of my athletes will always say like everything's perfect, and then 1 week they'll be like it's a tiny bit not perfect, and then I'll know that really means like everything's hell in a handbag because like your scale is well different than everyone else's scale, and I'll be like, oh, what's going on? Because every week you've said it's been perfect, and you always give it a 10. So that's a way, sort of, I'm looking for kind of language in there on like what's going on, what stress is. Sleep is a big one. Like if we're having a lot of sleep related issues, whether family or other reasons, like, yeah, we might get an extra rest day, and that's okay. So I think, like you said, every one of my athletes has 1 day off a week, mandatory. As mandatory as they make it, they can ignore me. But we talk about in the beginning, hey, let's have at least 1 day off, if not more, where we just let our body recover. It helps us. It's meaningful, and we can do more on the other days. It's okay. Like if you want to get this, if like this is what you're used to, then that's fine. But like 1 day to recover is important. I think also like coaches can help address it by their actions. You know, again, we're in a world, very public world in social media where everyone's a coach because they have a lot of followers and they're monetizing their following with athletes. And then
Y'all, not everyone is a coach, okay?
yes, but everyone's trying to be a coach because it's social media told them to get that coin. That said, you know, what they do is they're the people who don't ever take a rest day. They're on their 80th week of a run streak, and then they're telling you, oh, well, you need to rest. Like, watch your coaches and lead. But their example is also important, right? And so make sure if they're resting and they're, you know, you look up to them and you are, you know, you want their support and you understand that they're doing this right and they've been doing this for a long time. Like there's a great example here too. As a coach, you can lead by example and show people how important rest is because you're doing it yourself. Because if you're scared of rest as your coach, like your athletes are obviously going to see that. And it's going to go down this rabbit hole of falling them into the trap because of your own actions.
Speak on that. Well, basically what we were just talking about is our next point. Reframing rest as a tool, not a setback, right? It's a part of your training. We talk about making fitness is like a bank. You're making deposits. You're not draining it. And I think that, and Nick has spoke about this, and I could not agree with him more. I really look forward to my days off of running, and and not working out in general. But that's a practice that we've put into place with ourselves because it's very easy to, when you are, especially when you are an endurance athlete, because there's this endorphins and the high that you get from running is not the same. It's not the same, I should say, for most people.
Yeah.
when they're strength training or when they're taking a Pilates class. So maybe their relationship with work is different, but I'll also say that a lot of them have really disordered relationships with exercise, and we're seeing that now with trendy classes that put you in a very hot room, but aren't actually very effective. But they're chasing this feeling of being worked constantly, right? So in any event, the adaptation is happening in the rest, not in the workout.
Yeah, and you know, I always point to this too with pro athletes, right? We're not like them or different, but like we all run the same sport and we're all trying to get faster and fitter. You know, in this case, they're the ones who run a big race, and when they're done with their season, they go away for 3 months and they don't post social media and they're in some island or on some resort or just doing something not to do with sport. They take their rest. Yes, when they're training, they go a little harder than us. Again, don't compare. It's their job. Our job is to live a life, have a job, train, and other things. So we can't compare our training loads, but we can compare the fact that they are not afraid to rest. They aren't afraid to take time off. They aren't afraid to do things when an injury comes up so they can make it to the race. And they're not even afraid to skip their race when things come up, right? So they're not afraid of they don't look at rest as a setback. They look at it as rest as, okay, this is part of the journey. This is what I need to get to the next barrier, the next steps, the next, part of my journey. And they understand that rest is when the magic is happening, right? This rest weeks are the week. The down weeks are the weeks when we get those gains because we're having a little less intensity, a little less volume, and our body is able to adapt from all the stress in the last 3 weeks, if we do it every fourth week, and then prepare for the next onslaught. And, like Amanda said, we're putting deposits in a bank. We're not draining it. So rest is helpful to keep that going, to keep us getting to race day, because that's ultimately the goal. Again, too often I think people are so worried about proving their fitness during their training block, they forget that the only day that you need to be as fit as humanly possible is race day, right? Like if you're super fit 3 weeks out from race day and go run, 16 miles at marathon pace and you crush it and you're loving it, and then 2 weeks later you're dead, cool. I don't know what you do with that long run that had 16 miles of marathon pace, but you don't get to use it on race day. So you didn't rest and you didn't look at it this way. And you didn't prepare yourself to get there. So the rest is helping us get towards our goal, which is that one day when we're going to go show off all our fitness.
So, couple of things that we want you to take away from this episode is, for starters, like tangible things. Plug a rest day into your week, at least one, and be married to that rest day. Okay.
Every Monday for me.
Every Monday for you? That's great. I don't run on Fridays or Sundays, and that's what works. And not only does it work, but anytime that I've dipped my toe into, oh, let me run on Sunday also, I'm like, no, you don't like this at all. Like, this doesn't feel good. Don't do that. So I would say plan and stick to it. And if you are somebody who is worried about not moving on your rest days, first, find a friend who isn't a runner or a fitness enthusiast. Next, schedule a hot girl or hot guy brunch with them, a movie, see a show, do a puzzle. Hey, you want to go to Barnes and Noble? I feel like I got to get a new book. Like, I want to join a book club. Do something else.
Get a hobby.
Do something. Get a hobby. Yeah. Do something that isn't exercise, because that's not that's not what we're doing on a rest day, okay? If you continue to have a hard time with taking rest days, a couple of things that I recommend from an eating disorder or disordered relationship with exercise lens is take your watch off on those days. Maybe it's also a digital detox, as they say. Put the phone somewhere else, right? Do not feed comparison. And finally, if you have the resources, hire somebody like our good friend, Dr. Stephanie Roth Goldberg, who works with athletes who have a challenging relationship with food, weight, in their bodies from either a disordered exercise or eating lens or an eating disorder lens. That way, you have somebody in your corner who understands your love for sport and isn't trying to take it away from you, but rather fold it into your life appropriately.
Yeah. That's a great point. Last one. Hobbies, like you said, I think a lot of people start running as adults is usually their hobby, right? Their first thing is, oh, I have all this stress in my life, family, work, whatever. Let me start running. And then it's just this casual thing. And they just do it once in a while to release some stress. And then they get into it, right? And then they're like, oh, now I see some potential here. Now I want to chase some goals. So I build in an aggressive training plan, or I get a coach, or all that. The running has stopped being your hobby at that point. Now it is, your goal. I mean, it's still a hobby, but like now if you're actively chasing PRs and your potential, it's less of a hobby, and now you need a hobby from that hobby, right? And because the problem that happens is then it's, I do this running thing because I'm struggling with my kids at home. I just need to detox or get rid of some stress. Okay, but what's my rest day? Okay, but my kids are air quotes annoying today. Kids are never annoying. They are. But anyway, I have to run. And it's like, well, no. This is where your new hobby comes in to support the fact that you need a rest day today because you are running and chasing your goals. And this rest day is important towards chasing your goals. So yes, you can start running as that hobby that fills that space. But once you want to chase potential and chase your best and get like structured training, I'm not saying even without structured training, like you need the rest days. So you need a hobby to support your ability to rest on those days when you can't have running. What if you get injured and you need those rest days too? How do you stop yourself from running to an injury if you need it? Like this is the stuff that's important to get another hobby. And give yourself permission to take breaks when you feel good, right? That's to me is one of the most important things because when I ran my PR, all my PRs, they've been during training blocks when I had lots of unscheduled rest days. It was never, there's no perfection is not a thing. In fact, the training blocks when I perfectly navigated all my training and didn't really even have to do anything, I ran my worst races because most of the time I was running when I shouldn't be, or I was afraid to take a day off, or I was pushing through things. And the times where I said, oh, I don't feel well, let's go rest. Let me go get in a couple extra hours of sleep instead of waking up at 4 a.m. when I feel like crap. And then I get up later and I run half the mileage because it's too hot out, whatever it is, right? Those adjustments, those breaks I took when I was feeling at my greatest fitness wise are why I did maintain that fitness towards race day. And I didn't push too far in those moments where I teetered over this very thin line that we're always on when you're chasing potential and your fitness line's here, but your stress level's here. And you're like, really have that short window of where you should be able to reside for a long period of time. So feel comfortable even when you're at your best, that you can still just take an unscheduled rest day. You can still take that down week. You can still take that rest after your race, even if you didn't hit your goal because you did all that hard work.
Right. And your body deserves it.
It does.
Very much so. Final thoughts, Coach Nick. I think that when it comes to losing fitness, if you are afraid of that after missing a run, after missing a workout, it's not about running anymore. It's not about fitness anymore. And it's an opportunity for you to use rest as the exercise.
Yeah. I also say you will see this too fit to rest mentality all over social media. You will see it from 20-year-olds. You'll see it from 30-year-olds. You'll see it from brand new runners. Who you won't see it from most of the time is an experienced runner who's been doing it for a long time, who's doing this sport 30, 40 years. Go find a 60-year-old who's been running since they're 15. I guarantee you they are not on their 9,000th run day in a row streak, and they don't ever take a rest day and this and that. And if they are, they're an aberration to the norm. The reason they're still running, the reason they're still chasing potentials in their 40s and 50s, the reason pro runners are still running after starting at 14 years old is because they prioritize rest and they understand the importance of it, and they never get caught up in being too fit to take the rest. So I know we're all on social media. I know we're all finding the latest fad content creator who talks about it. They can run 7 marathons in 4 weeks because they're ready for it. I'm just saying the reason those people may not exist in the next 5 to 10 years, when you want your journey to, again, be over a long period of time, you want to keep growing, you want to reach your goals, don't fall for a trap of someone who probably won't be here for a long time when you still want to be doing this and still chasing your potential. I'm chasing my potential still 22 years later when I started because of prioritizing rest and being able to take unscheduled rest days and always being a fan of my rest days. So just be careful what information you consume and who you're letting influence you.
Yes. Very well said. I think that about covers it, friends. We are excited to come back to your ears, to your eyes. Speaking of, we need you watching and commenting and loving us over on YouTube as well. We're on YouTube. Go check us out, Between Two Coaches. Subscribe, leave us a comment. Let us know how you're loving the episodes while you're eating lunch. You can plug that bad boy right into your television, or when you say you're quote unquote working on your phone, your iPad, your computer. Of course, if you haven't already, on Spotify and Apple, this is how we get our podcasts out. to more folks, and it supports Nick and I very, very much so. When you give us a review, a 5-star review with a little note, the truth of the matter is you don't have to be sincere about it. In the same way, when you see somebody who you don't really want to talk to on the street and they approach you and they're like, haven't seen you in a while, how you doing? You know how you tell that person named Jonathan, I'm fine. You're not. I know you're. I know you're hardly holding it together, but you just need to. You just need to say you're fine, okay? Because otherwise, Jonathan is not gonna stop asking you.
True.
And that is what I need you to do when it comes to reviewing the podcast. You don't even have to be sincere about it. Get it done. Give us 5 stars. Next week.
Oh, we're going to tease it.
Next week, we have 2 very special guests on.
Should we make them guess?
What?
We should make them guess. Don't give it all away.
Oh, make them guess.
Yeah.
The listeners guess?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. They've been on the podcast before. That's the hint.
Yep, there it is.
And they're back and they're better than ever. I think. I'm speaking on their behalf. What else do we want to tell you? Patreon. We have a Patreon. You better head on over to Between Two Coaches on Patreon. We have some exclusive content that we put on there. More coming down the...
Yes.
If you are a Patreon subscriber, you know how to reach Coach Nick and I. Let us know what you want to see, hear, experience on there. And finally, Nick and I would not be getting through our long runs if it wasn't for fuel. And one of our fueling partnerships here is Crank Sports.
Yep.
So you can use our code B2, the number 2, C at checkout. You get a sweet discount, and that's a little way that you can support Between Two Coaches podcast, aka Coach Nick and I.
Yeah. Wow, Amanda, you summed it all up quite well.
Well, if I wasn't going to do it, this was just going to drag. Just drag. In any event, Coach Nick, it's great to be back with you.
Same to you, Amanda. We're happy we're back.
We are. And we hope that you all enjoyed this episode. Once again, you can reach out to us at any time on Instagram or over at betweentwocoaches@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.